Good morning. Hope everyone had a great weekend. We're going to start on our backs today, so just go ahead and put it down. Sorry, I'm just making sure my camera will fit my whole body. So it's come to a supine position. You can put something under your head if you want, or just like that on your mat. You can put the soles of the feet together, or you can bring the feet towards the edges of the mat and let the knees fall into each other. And then once you're in a comfortable position, take a big inhalation into the belly. Exhale, let everything go. Another big inhalation. Exhale, release into the mat. And then just start to breathe into the belly, let the belly button rise and fall. Gently close your eyes if they're not closed already. And then just letting that breath bring you into the moment. Watch the gentle ebb and flow. Of the breath as it moves through your body. And in a few breaths, we're going to transition into Ujjayi breathing. So after this next breath, exhale all the way before you inhale into the belly and expand from side to side, from front to back. Fill up the belly every last millimeter, then rise up to the chest, broaden, open the chest. You can press those shoulders into the mat. Fill that opening with the lungs. Inhale all the way to the crown of the head. And then exhale from the crown of the head. Release any tension in the face. Let the tongue be loose in the mouth. Release the chest, the lungs, the belly. Draw that navel in. Exhale all the way before starting another inhalation. Again, filling up the belly, making that Christmas tree shape with the breath. Just mindful as your belly expands. As your lungs open. And making sure you exhale all the way before starting another breath. Just taking a few more Ujjayi breaths, challenging your belly, lungs, every last centimeter of space inside of your rib cage, your lungs fills up with oxygen. Remember to breathe into the crown of the head. Exhale all the way to the tailbone. And then just one more breath. And make this one count. Expand, open. And the exhalation, everything just releases and relaxes. Return to your normal breathing. Make sure the face is nice and relaxed. Relax the jaw. Relax the cheeks. And we're going to press into the shoulders, into the backs of the shoulders. Open the chest. Press it to the elbows. Press all the way down to the wrists. The back of the hands are opening. Release. You rock your head from side to side here. Just roll it from ear to ear. Soften through the neck. And then from here, we take our body nice and long, stretch from toe up through the fingertips. Interlock the fingers and press up with the palms of the hands, still pointing with the toes. And then go ahead and alternate, flexing one foot, point with the other one a few times. And then take the hands up in front, take them fingers together, and just roll the wrists a few times. And press those hands up towards the ceiling. Release, then press the back of the right hand up towards the ceiling and to pull the palm down with the left hand. Just gentle stretch through the forearm to the wrist. And switch hands. And release. I'm going to move those ankles over to the right side of the mat so you can scooch those shoulders on over. Just kind of stack the hands and then stay here or cross that left ankle over the right ankle. We're opening up through that left side of the body. Create space in the hip. And right above the hip, the ribs float apart. Move everything closer to the center for a more gentle stretch. Let the belly just rise and fall. You can soften your gaze to the ceiling or just keep your eyes gently closed. Just watching your breath. Just feeling the opening all the way from the left fingertips, all the way to the ankle, the heel. And release, move everything back to center. And then move over to the other side of the mat. Ankles right next to each other or cross that right ankle over the left ankle. Making that banana shape with your body. Choose the level of intensity you want for the stretch. And when you're there, just settle into the breath again. Soften through the shoulder, the hip, down the leg to the heel. Opening on the inhalation, softening any tight areas in the exhalation. And release, move back to center. Bend the knees, take those feet towards the edges of the mat. You can cactus the arms and we'll go and just let the right knee fall towards the center. Let left knee fall out to the side. And then bring up the knees, other side. Just kind of rock slowly back and forth, softening through the low back, through the hips. And then when the right knee comes into the center and the left knee goes up to the side, stay there for a breath. Take our hand underneath our ribs and just press down towards the hip, press the hip away from the body. Let's do it a couple times. We're just focusing on that feeling of length that right side of the body. And once you come to this hip bone, you can press this away from the body and release. Rock those knees from side to side a few more times. And we'll come to the other side. Bring this hand to the bottom of the left hand to the bottom of the ribs and just slide it down the side of the body. Press the hip away. And release a few more times with the knees, just massaging that low back. So rock side to side. And pull the knees up towards the chest. Pull those knees down and up towards the chin. Inhale. Engage the core and bring that nose up towards the knees. Just hold this crunch for a breath or two. And release. Rock from side to side. And take those knees into the circles or just keep rocking from side to side, whatever feels the best on your back. Pull the knees up towards the chest, let them fall away and fall apart. Soften through the hip flexors. Use those arms as oars, kind of slowly as you like. Just gonna soften those knees and hips, release. And then pull the knees up, pull them into the chest, soften through the hip creases, or release the left foot down and pull that right knee down and up. And go ahead and lengthen through that right leg. Pressing to the heel, leg is bent, maybe straighter, you can grab the leg. Soften through the back of the leg, lengthen through the hamstring. Keep this left foot attached to the mat. And release, bring this heel on top of the leg. We'll pull this right knee towards the left shoulder, stretching the outside of that right hip. Just gently place pressure on the knee to move in the direction of the left shoulder. So it shouldn't hurt, it should be a good stretch, no pain, no discomfort. Just getting into those tight muscles in the outer hip. Breathe, return to your breath. And release, keep that ankle on the knee. We'll press that right knee away from the body. Press that low back into the mat. And you stay here for the figure four, just gently pressing that right knee away. If you want, go ahead and do the whole figure four, grab the back of the left hamstring, or just keep it gentle right now. And release from the right foot to meet the left foot. I'm going to bring this left knee up towards the chin, pressing down and up towards the neck, the chest. And lengthen through that left leg or press to that left heel. Soften. You can always grab the leg or even use a yoga strap here. And then set that heel on the right knee. We'll take this left knee and pull this towards the right shoulder. Soften the piriformis, the hip area. Breathe into the tight areas, soften on the exhalation. Notice if you're holding any extra tension in your hips. And release. And keep this foot flexed and then press this left knee away from the body. Gently bring that hand to the left knee to guide it away from the body. Make sure we're pressing that low back into the mat. Let's come to full figure forward, or wait, just take this stretch right now. And then release, pull this knee up, lengthen through the right leg, and then we're going to bring this knee across the body. A gentle spinal twist. So guys, move those hips back towards the center. So just as you need to. And if this is a little too intense, you can always just bring the knees together. Release into that gentle twist. Breathe. Soften your gaze towards the ceiling. And release, bring those knees back up. Lengthen that left leg, or bring that right knee up again and bring that across the body. And then taking this stretch, or bring that left knee to meet that right knee. Just take a gentle spinal twist. You can cactus the arms, or have them with tea, or they can just relax on your belly, just wherever. And release, come back. Now press those feet into the mat, bring the arms down across, along the sides of the body. And so the next inhalation, we're going to press those hips up towards the ceiling. You don't have to come that far up off the mat. Press all four corners of the feet, the arms, the palms. Every inhalation, maybe those hip points come a little closer to the ceiling, strengthening those hip muscles, warming them up before we stretch them some more. More easy breath. And release. And pull those knees in. You're going to come and grab the outsides of the shins or even the feet for happy baby. So kind of a more modified, more gentle way. This morning, kind of just bring those knees in towards the armpits, really grab all the way. So whatever's available to you, and then for theirs, rock from side to side if that feels good on your back, or just soften the hip flexors. Pull those knees in, and cross the ankles, grab the backs of the hamstrings, and go ahead and slowly rock up to a seated position. And once you're there, just rock a little bit from side to side, checking with the hips. And just bring your hands softly to your knees, and we'll just kind of take a big circle with our torso, with our shoulders. And just take your awareness to your hips. Let them soften into the mat. Opposite direction, softening through that low back. Softening through all the parts of the hip. Really feeling that grounding down through the tailbone into the mat. And from here, inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. And exhale, come forward, bring those hands right in front of the shins, soften through the low back, lengthen through the back of the neck. The hips feel heavy. Walk those hands forward if you can keep it. If your spine is nice and long, stays nice and long. Even here, it's still stretched. So just depending on what feels good this morning. And sway a little bit from side to side. Stretching through the low back. Walk the hands over to the right. And reach through the fingertips. Pull back through that left hip. Create space in the hip. Let the hip feel heavy. Soften your gaze down towards the floor or close your eyes for a breath or two. Rock the hands back to center. And then come over to the other side. We're reaching through those right fingertips, pulling back through that right hip. That right hip feel heavy. Lengthen through the back of the neck. The nose comes down towards the floor. And walk the hands back to center. Walk the hands back into the body. And we're going to bring those hands up to the sides and out at an angle. Lean back, open up the chest, and just gaze kind of forward or up at an angle. Open. And we're going to lean back on the hips and switch the legs. Cross the legs, come forward, and just bring your hands in front of your shins again. Sway from side to side, check in with the hips. Just want to even out the hips this morning, see if one is tighter than the other. Breathe into the belly. Breathe into the hips. Just softening on the exhalation. And walk the hands back in. Hands come softly to the knees. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, right ear comes down to the right shoulder. Reach out through those left fingertips and then soften from the shoulder up to the ear. Soften your gaze just past your nose. Just be mindful with your neck. Make sure there's no pinching, no pain. And release, come back up. We'll inhale up those arms. Bring those to a V, pull those elbows down. Inhale up, pull them down. Inhale up, rest them on the back of the head. Guide the chin towards the chest, lengthen through the back of the neck. Soften through the shoulders, through the upper back, through the neck. No pulling or jerking of the head, just lengthening, softening. And gently release, hands back to the knees. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, we're gonna bring that left ear down to the left shoulder. And reach out to the right fingertips. Breathe. Soften from the tip of the shoulder up through the shoulder, up the neck. Release, hand back to knee, close your eyes. Take a big neck roll, drawing a circle with the tip of the nose, clockwise in the air. And close the eyes. Breathe slowly, as you like, just kind of noticing every muscle as it lengthens and softens. And pause on a muscle for a breath or two if it needs extra attention. Just taking your awareness to all the muscles in the neck. Are you holding tension in a certain part of your shoulder, your upper back? Breathe into that area. Change directions. Drawing that circle in the air with the tip of the nose in a counterclockwise direction. And change directions. Just taking a few circles in the first direction. And then change one more time. Just a few more neck rolls. Make sure you're keeping a nice long spine. Lifting through the sternum. Don't let your back kind of curve. Shouldn't feel like you're pushing your low back towards the back of the mat. And then make those circles smaller, come back to a neutral position. Just wink open the eyes. We're gonna bring those arms out to the sides, give ourselves a big hug, either arm on top. Pull those shoulders away from the ears, lift the sternum. And then we're gonna, whichever arm is on top, bring that elbow inside of the other elbow. And stay here or wrap those all the way around. Pull those shoulders away from the ears, lift to the crown of the head. Inhale, just lift those elbows a few inches. Exhale, just gently, just barely rounding the shoulders, draw the navel in. Inhale, up a seated cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale. So one last time, exhale. And release, bring this right arm across the body. We're just gonna hug that in. Letting this right shoulder ease away from the ears, the arm comes across the body. Or whichever arm happens to be in front of you, or could be either. Release, let go, reach those arms up to the sides, and then the opposite arm will come on top. Give yourself a hug, pull the shoulders down. Make sure breathing is that belly button's moving forward and then back towards the spine. And then move that top elbow into the bottom elbow. Stay here or try to come to the full eagle arms. Ease the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, just gently lift the elbows. Exhale, around. Inhale. Lift, almost a tiny opening of the chest. Exhale, round. One more time, inhale. Let's stretch through the shoulders. Exhale. And then bring which other arm is in the inside across the body. Just make a hook with the opposite arm. Just ease the shoulder away from the ear. Both shoulders. And release, shake out the arms. And roll the shoulders. Take the fingertips to the shoulders, and then we're gonna inhale up the elbows. Exhale, come around. Inhale up. Exhale, around. Inhale up. Just one more time, inhaling. As we raise the elbows, exhale as we round. Stop at the bottom, opposite direction, inhale, come back and around and up. Exhale, elbows come down in front. Inhale, circle up, exhale, circle down. Just two more times. Inhale up, exhale down. At your own pace with your own breath. And release, inhale up the arms. Exhale, bring this right arm down, lift, and then slide that right hand out to the side. Keep both of the hips firmly attached to the mat. And bring the elbow down. Feel that opening from the hip to the fingertips. And kind of sway a little bit from front to back. That feels good. Pull that thumb back, open up. Open the chest to the ceiling, gently bring this left hand down on the knee. Bring this right hand kind of out towards the back. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, take that gaze over your right shoulder. Spinal twist. And your core is doing most of the work, so if you lift up your hands, you should stay pretty much in the same position. These hands are just there to kind of guide you. And release, unwind. Inhale up. And exhale, bring this left hand down, lift up and over, slide that hand out, come all the way down to the elbow if you're super bendy. Feel that opening from the right hip. The right hip is attached firmly to the mat. And sway a little bit. That feels good. On the low back, on the shoulder. And then pull that thumb back, open up, spin open. And exhale, come to a gentle twist. Slide this left hand back. Lift to the sternum and the crown of the head, and then take that gaze over the left shoulder. On the inhalation, lengthening the spine, create space in between those discs, between the vertebrae. And exhalation, pull that navel in. See if that gaze just comes a little bit further over the shoulder. Inhale, lengthening. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, twisting. And release, unwind. And here come to a tabletop position. Spread out the fingers. Press into the tops of the feet. I'm going to push this left hip out to the side. And then kind of round circle over to the other side. Push that right hip out to the side. And you can take your knees a little bit further apart than hip width, if that helps. Kind of with the leverage and pushing that hip out. I'm just going to play with that. I'm just trying to take big circles as we stretch out the wrists and push out the hips. Change direction. It's nice, big circles. Come back to a neutral position. Inhale, drop the belly, pull those shoulder blades back towards each other. Open the chest, gaze forward. Exhale, round everything, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, pull the navel up to the ceiling. Then inhale, back to cow. Exhale, cat, rounding, tucking everything, press into the tops of the feet. Inhale, cow, you can release the jaw. Open the mouth wide. Exhale, round. And then inhale to cow, just at your own pace, take a few more rounds. Wake up all those muscles in the back, in the belly. And come back to a neutral position. I'm going to press to that right heel and soften that calf muscle. Keep this left hip over the left knee. Make sure your fingers are spread out. And then on the inhalation, we're going to lift with that right hamstring, level off the hips. And press to the heel. Stay here at that left arm. Strengthening the back and the belly, breathing. Engaging that core. And release down, bring the knees together. And pick up the toes, the feet just a few inches, and we'll come from side to side, gaze over the shoulders. Just a few more times, just moving in the other direction. Come back to tabletop position, press through that left heel, soften through that calf muscle. And we'll lift, level off. Add that right arm as an option, and let the breath carry you. Drawing in that navel, pressing through the heel, reaching to those fingertips. And release down, bring those knees wide. Just let those hips ease back, reach forward, forehead comes down to the mat, and just soften for a couple breaths, let everything go. And then slide those hands in towards the body and press up. Come up, keep the knees wide, and just thread this right arm underneath the left. Bring that shoulder down, reach forward with that left arm. Let that shoulder melt just for a few breaths. Into the belly, shoulder melts into the mat. And bend this left arm and press up. And then thread the other arm, bring this left arm underneath the right, let that left shoulder melt and soften. Breathe into the belly, return to the breath. And bend that right arm, we're pressing up. And from here, come back to tabletop. Make sure you spread out the fingers, tuck those toes. You start to straighten the legs just slowly. Then walk the dog, alternate those heels on the mat. And take the feet towards the edges of the mat for this, if that feels good, or just keep the feet hip width apart, pedal out the heels, the legs, and then press to the heels into downward facing dog. Ears are up by your biceps, lengthen to the back of the neck. Make sure you're lifting that belly button up like an elevator and drawing that into the spine, gauging that whole, putting like core lock. And softly just walk those feet up to the top of the mat. Legs don't have to be straight. I'm just gonna hang here just for a breath. And then leaning forward a little bit to put the weight on the hands as we just step back with that left foot, go into a lunge. Softly bring this back knee down. And just let these hands hang out on either side of the foot. We're pulling back with this right hip crease. You can take your thumb there and pull back, or just with your mind's eye, trying to square those hips and then let them fall forward. Use blocks here. That helps. And I just saw a bunch of blocks when, in Marshalls and in Ross and Target, if anybody's looking for any, or Academy as well, but there's always Amazon too, so lots of options. And let the hips sink a little further forward. Lengthen to the back of the neck, take that nose down at an angle. Softening through the front of the left hip. And go ahead and straighten that right leg, bring those toes up to the ceiling. Keep this left hip over the left knee. Soften the back of the right leg, soften through the back of the knee. You can just be down on your fingertips, or maybe your hands are flat, or a box. Breathe, soften. Let those hips fall forward. And then you can stay here or bring those hands up to the knee. And just try to soften those knees or hips a little bit more. Soften, ease forward. And just one more time, bring those hips back, come into a half split. Toes up to the ceiling. And release, bring the hips forward, bring the hand to the inside of the foot, heel toe this out to the edge of the mat. We're softening to the hip flexor. Breathe. Notice your breath. Return to the breath if it's wandered away. Nice, easy breaths into the belly, into the tight areas. You come down on your elbows. If you want a deeper stretch through that hip flexor. And release, bring this foot back into center. I'm going to tuck the back toes and then go ahead and come into a pyramid pose. So pressing through both feet, square those hips to the front of the mat, split that mat apart, nose comes down towards the shin, press, engage the quads. And gently bend that front leg. We're gonna let this left foot come meet the right foot. I'm gonna softly step back with that right foot. Lift with that hamstring, bring that knee down. And make sure this ankle's underneath the knee, or even move that further forward. And with your mind's eye or your thumb, bring this left hip crease back. Soften the hips forward. Nice long back of the neck, nose is down towards the floor. And go ahead and straighten that front leg. So keep that right hip over the right knee, press into the top of that right foot, and then we're softening to the back of that left leg, soften through the back of the knee, toes up to the ceiling. Just breathing into any tight parts of the hamstring, calf muscle. Softening the low back. And release, let those hips come forward again. Stay here, bring those hands to the top of the knee. Just whatever helps you feel like you can release those hips further forward. Sometimes creating length with a block might help. Still pulling back with that mind's eye, that into that hip crease to make sure those hips are square. And go ahead and straighten that front leg again. Notice any different sensations in the back of the left leg. And toes are up to the ceiling. Nice, easy breaths. Make sure you're not holding tension in your face. Let your tongue be loose in your mouth. Soften through the shoulders. And let those hips come forward. Bring the hand to the inside of your foot. Heel toe out to the edge and soften. Soften through the hip. And come down all the way to the elbows. Out to an angle. Lizard pose. Whatever allows you to soften that hip. And heel toe that foot back to center. We're going to tuck the back toes. Come into that pyramid pose on the other side. So find the distance that you need to be able to press those feet into the mat. Square those hips to the front of the mat. Split that mat apart. We're engaging every muscle in the legs. Breathing just a few more breaths here. And release. I'm going to bring this right foot to meet the left foot. Come to a forward fold. Bend the knees a little bit. Or lengthen more to the back of the legs. Let the head just hang. Letting the blood flow to the heart. And we're going to bend the knees. Bring the weight into the hands and step back into downward facing dog just for a breath or two. Notice any different sensations this time in the downward facing dog position. And release, bring those knees down, come over to the left side of the mat. And let's go ahead and just flip around over. And from here, we're gonna bring those fingers towards the back of the mat. I'm gonna lift up the hips and bring this right ankle on top of the left knee and soften back down. Once again, you can, or as always, you can kind of change the distance of the stance, the distance between the feet and the hands. So more gentle pose, deeper stretch into that hip, just kind of work those hands in towards the body. Just find a spot where you can feel that stretch, but also soften on the exhalation. Nice long spine. And always take a micro bend in the elbow if you need to here. And release. That foot down, just bring those arms out kind of to the side and rock those knees from side to side. And then from here, we move over to the left side of the mat. Just gonna come over onto our right hip. We're gonna lift up and just come into a side angle pose, lifting up and over, lengthen, press to the top of that right foot. And then bring this left arm down. We're gonna make sure, bring your hand to your belly, make sure that you're lifting up and in with that belly button before you lift the whole body up. Left hand comes down, reach up to the right, and then we'll just reach over, gate pose. Lengthening from the knee up to the shoulder, then rounding the side. Opening the right side of the body, the torso, the hip. And release. Going to bring the left knee in and just lengthen through the right leg. Bring this down, take side angle on the other side. Press it down to the foot. One nice long line, press to the top of that left foot. Soften your gaze, past your nose. Now bring this right arm down and bring the hand to the belly so you can make sure that you engage that core before you lift up. Reach down with the right hand, reach up with the left hand. Just reach right over. We're lifting, lengthening from the knee up to the shoulder. Slide that right hand down. And release. Bring those knees together. And come sit on our hips and come back to that position where you can take that stretch, deep hip stretch on the other side. So lifting up the hips, fingers pointed back. Make sure you kind of in the distance in the right position before you lift up so you can sink into that hip stretch. We'll bring this left ankle on top of the right knee this time. Once you're there, you can even kind of rock from side to side if that feels good. Just soften, soften through the hip. Breathe, release. Soften and bring this left foot down. Come balance on the sit bones for boat pose. Make sure you've got a nice long spine. Stay with the hands on the hamstrings here or reach forward. Engaging the muscles in the arms, in the core, broad chest. And release, come down. And we're going to reach forward as we roll back. Just engage in every part of the belly as we roll back all the way down. And then slowly, slowly, slowly. Once you're down, take a big breath into the belly, release. Hug the knees into the chest, rock, massage the back. And put the feet down, we'll bring that right foot on top of that left knee. Press that knee away, and then for full figure four, around the back of that left hamstring. Keep both feet flexed. Soften. Notice any difference from the beginning of the hour when we came to this position. Your hips feeling softer, more stretched out, warmer, relaxed. And this is also a move you can do against the wall too. Just coming up to a wall, put your foot, like left foot on the wall, and then kind of position your body so you can put your ankle on your knee. And release. We're going to change legs. So press this left knee away, and then you can stay here or option to grab the back of the right hamstring. Keep those legs, feet flexed. Breathe. And if you do want to do a wall assist, give this some time. Just put your foot up against the wall, take this ankle. Make sure you press that low back in into the mat, tucking that tailbone and then pressing that knee away. And sometimes that's a nice way to do it, especially if you find yourself holding a lot of tension in your hips. And release. Get those feet a little bit further apart than the hips. Just rock those out. And then go ahead and lengthen the legs. Open up the palms to the ceiling. Adjust your shoulders. Take a big breath into the belly. Release. Let everything soften and melt down into the mat. Nice, soft, easy breaths. Observe the breath as it enters and exits the body. Gently close your eyes, soften to the face. Release the jaw and the cheeks. Let your tongue be loose in your mouth. On the next exhalation, let the shoulders melt into the mat. And the arms all the way down to the wrists, the palms, the fingertips, all the muscles in the arms. Soften and widen. Biceps, triceps, forearms, the elbows even release. And let the muscles in the back soften from the shoulders down to the hips. Hamstrings, quads, calves, ankles, feet, all melt and soften and release into the mat. And just continue to follow the breath. Breathing in relaxation. Soften on the exhalation. Just release into the mat a little more with every exhalation. And slowly start to bring awareness back to your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, rock your head from side to side. And slowly roll yourself onto the right side of your body. And just pause for a moment before you press yourself up to a seated position. Your hands to heart center. On the inhalation, blink open the eyes into the light. Namaste. Thank you everyone for joining me. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday morning. This should be the normal schedule. And let me know if you have any requests for Wednesday. Like I said, have a great rest of your day.